gluten-free, or vegan. Mellow Mushroom is at 1604 and Stone Oak Parkway. Hang with friends, watch the game, and mellow out at Mellow Mushroom.
Hey, sports bettors. Joe Reinigal here to tell you about my favorite sportsbook and casino, BetUS.com. You know, football is back, so it's time to get in on the action. I endorse one sportsbook and casino, and that is BetUS. BetUS went large for you this season. A huge offer, 125% sign-up bonus on your first 3 deposits. Get started today at BetUS.com or give them a call, 1-800-MY-BETUS. BetUS, where the game begins.
94.1 FM, San Antonio Sports Star. San Antonio's Sports Center.
Sad news today. Former Denver Nugget and Houston Rocket Dikembe Mutombo passed away at the age of 58 due to brain cancer. The Houston Astros, well, they'll start the playoffs tomorrow afternoon at 1:30 as they take on the Detroit Tigers in Houston. That game will be televised on ABC and broadcast over on ESPN's AM 1250.
This is Extra Innings with Pleasure.
Truth is, I am Iron Man.
Rock and roll! The Texans win it!
You've been called the Da Vinci of our time. What do you say to that?
Absolutely ridiculous. I don't paint.
That ball is history! A walk-off home run!
And it's going to be legendary.
James Pledger wraps your day with insight, opinion, plenty of sarcasm, and of course, your calls. He'll even pour a beer out the door for his favorite story of the day. This is Extra Innings with Pledger. Now, here's Pledge.
Welcome into Extra Innings with Pleasure right here on San Antonio Sports Star, 94.1 FM, sasportsstar.com. I am James Pledger. Thanks for joining me, however you may be joining me, whether that's on 94.1 FM, sasportsstar.com, listening via our AA Best Bail Bonds audio, vault, or if you happen to be watching and listening on YouTube. If you're not, you can go there, search at SA Sports Star on YouTube. Go ahead, like, subscribe, comment along with the show. Miguel Martinez, J4, already up in the bullpen as the bullpen band is ready to rock. Fun weekend of football. No Dallas Cowboys on the docket this weekend, which made watching football different because of our jobs. We're locked into the Cowboys 100% of the time. Got to enjoy a bit more of everything. Of course, I was locked into my game with the Texans, but there was a lot more going on around the league, getting to watch, the Chiefs later in the afternoon. The Sunday Night Football was a bloodbath. And now you got Texans Bills coming up, and it feels like a couple of guys that you thought were contenders that may be pretenders after some throttlings by Minnesota on the Texans' part. And of course, last night, what Baltimore did to Buffalo, because I said on Friday, and maybe they are a victim of the schedule that they've faced to this point, but I thought Buffalo was playing the best football going into this week in the NFL. Week-to-week league in the NFL as well. So the Texans got to win, and they're finding ways to win ugly, except for the Minnesota game where everything came back to bite them. But they're getting away with penalties. They're getting away with false starts. They're getting away with being behind the chains. They're getting away with injuries. They're getting away with letting big plays happen defensively like they did in that first game against the Colts, which made it a lot closer than expected. They are surviving games. There's nothing impressive about what the Texans are doing other than stacking wins against teams that they should stack wins against. Earlier today on the Blitz, they reacted to the Texans winning ugly.
So the Houston Texans, what do you make of the Houston Texans? I mean, Jacksonville is not a good team. And why Trevor doesn't get hammered more for his piss poor play. He missed some open throws.
Oh my
yesterday.
gosh, yeah, he did.
For a Texans team that a lot of us picked, including me, to make a long playoff run, they don't look like it. And I don't know if I should be more upset with what I'm seeing offensively, knowing they've got an injury at the running back position, or what I'm seeing defensively out of a D'Amico Ryans coach team.
Well, I think there's just some issues. There are a lot of penalty issues that they've got to get over. And so, but look, you knew Jacksonville was going to play hard yesterday.
Sure.
Because they'd lost 8 in a row, for goodness sake. I mean, going into last season. So you had to figure that they're going to win a game eventually, I would think. And so I knew that they would come in, and because it is a division game, it's the Houston Texans. I don't think those teams really like each other. And so I knew that they were going to play hard. And I just think that the Texans, again, it's just some mental stuff that's going on with them more so than the other. And I'm not worried about the Houston Texans. I think they'll be just fine.
Mets and Braves now tied at 3. Nobody out. Runners on the corners for the New York Mets. We'll keep you posted. Again, the way they started the year and as good as they looked, the last 2 weeks they have not looked good. It's too early in the season to say mid-season doldrums, right? The dog days of, they don't have that same look. You look at the Baltimore Ravens and what you see out of them. After an 0-2 start the last 2 weeks, they've looked incredible. Buffalo, they didn't look good last night. Kansas City still undefeated, yet they don't look good while winning all their games. And Patrick Mahomes took out his best wide receiver last night. Rashid Rice, ACL, he's done for the year. Worthy had a solid game. And finally, Travis Kelce seemed to have an impact, but they're not hitting on all cylinders. And now they're without Rice. They lost a wide receiver before the season started, and they don't have Pacheco. Kansas City might be in trouble, and I think that's where I look at Houston and say, if this is the year Kansas City is going to trip and fall, Houston, you need to jump on it, but Houston doesn't look like that team.
Well, it is just game 4.
Well,
and I think they're going to, and they are 3-1. And so I don't think there's too much panic in Houston, and there's certainly no panic in Kansas City.
No.
For goodness sake, they won a Super Bowl last year. They didn't have anybody. So I still more than they've got. They're going to be just fine. There's already been rumors that the Chiefs are going to go out and try and make a trade or find a wide receiver somewhere to bring in the absence of Rice. But I don't worry about those two teams. When the season's over, the cream's going to rise to the top. That's going to be Kansas City. Houston will be right there. They've just got too much talent not to be. Barring some devastating injury, obviously, but they've just got too much talent not to be. They'll get it figured out. It'll be all right.
And I think Joe's right there. I think everything will be all right. I think these are early season struggles. I expected them to be cleaner offensively, but new pieces, brand new starting offensive line this year, a healthy one. You've adding a Stephon Diggs, adding a Joe Mixon, adding a Cam Akers because of injuries to Joe Mixon and Dameon Pierce, adding a Cade Stover who's playing a lot. So, yeah, I think there are going to be issues with timing, consistency, just continuity on this offense that will get cleaned up as the season goes along. And I think I had much too high of hopes for how this offense would start going into the season. And obviously all the new pieces, there are some things they got to work through. The one thing I do know, Nico Collins is a stud, and them signing him this offseason to that 3-year, $25 million a year extension looks like an absolute steal, which is why you do deals early if you believe in the player. But Nico Collins absolutely looks like a steal. He is on pace for over 2,000 yards currently, and it is obvious he and CJ Stroud have a great rapport together. Miguel Martinez on our YouTube live asking, is Buffalo the AFC's Cowboys? Josh Allen, like Dak Prescott, they look good against bad teams, struggle when playing equal or better opposition. You intrigued me at first thought, but Josh Allen has played extremely well against good competition in the past. This is different. He has literally had everything minus James Cook stripped away from him as he's trying to do this with the rookie and Keon Coleman, Khalil Shakir, Dalton Kincaid, Dawson Knox, and Curtis Samuel as his weapons outside of that. So, I mean, it is what it is. Buffalo has some playoff wins. They've gotten to an AFC title game. They put Kansas City on the ropes. If it wasn't, and everybody blames Josh Allen. Josh Allen gave them the lead with 13 seconds left, and that defense allowed them to go down the field and score the game-winning field goal. Gilberto Padilla says Washington the problem, Dallas in trouble. Washington looks good at 3-1 right now, and they are the beneficiary of one of those bottom two in the division schedules. And it looks like Jaden Daniels could be that dude. That is very, very impressive. It was also Spurs Media Day, and it was very, very telling listening to a bunch of things going around, including the addition of one Chris Paul. As Pop said, man, he's been on the other side of this rivalry for a long time.
I've despised Chris for many years. It was difficult to play against him because he's not just the consummate competitor, but he is a clever player. His IQ is off the charts, and it was always difficult because he's thinking ahead of all of us coaches and does that in a winning way. So he's one of those guys you learn to hate to play against him, but at the same time you respect the hell out of him, and you're almost honored to be on the same court so you can watch him do his thing. So to have him working in our family is pretty special. Sometimes I have to pinch myself to think about having the opportunity to watch him on a day-to-day basis, because it's always been from afar.
So, Pop, what does CP3 bring to this team?
More than anything, he's going to be a great mentor for our young guys. That you think about the people who came in when Timmy and Manu and Tony were here, they had good examples to look up to who had been in the league a while, that sort of thing. It's important in a player's development. These guys, for the most part, haven't really had that. Even Victor, I mean, obviously he's super talented and that sort of thing, but he needs that also, just like everybody else who's young. So Chris and Harrison Barnes both provide that in spades. With their experiences, their work ethics, their professionalism, I can't even quantify how important that'll be for all the young players. So that's number one. Secondly, Chris, along with Harrison, they have high basketball IQ. I mean, they're going to make mistakes like every player, but in general, they're going to add a lot, decision-making and that sort of thing that helps a club win.
And those were some things that really hurt the Spurs early in the season last year, as they were trying to figure things out, figure roles out, turnovers, same mistakes over and over again. I think CP3 and Harrison Barnes are going to be good additions to just getting this team to play more consistently, quarter in, quarter out, day in, day out, week in, week out. And I think that's going to be very important. Now, how does he want Chris Paul to fit into this offense?
Well, I think the best way to answer that is when he I'm trying to remember where I first spoke with he and Harrison during the summer. We were, I don't know, maybe it was a summer league. I'm not sure, but we were all in the same place, so we got to talk. And you wanted to know, Pop, what do you expect from me? What do you want me to do? How do you want me to play? That kind of thing. And I was very simplistic. I just said, be Chris Paul. That's all I want to do. I want him to be Chris Paul and play like he's always played. I probably won't coach him a lick. I'll just try to infuse what our strategy is and how we play and what we're looking to do and that kind of thing. Give him as much information as I can, but he's going to play and be Chris Paul.
And that's going to be evident on the court, I think, as he wants him to be him because he is a leader on the court. And as he said, you can't quantify what he's going to bring to some of those younger players on this team that haven't had that around them. This has been Extra Innings with Pledge. We got Monday Night Football coming up next. The Miami Dolphins taking on the Tennessee Titans. Remember to reach out to those you love. Check on them. You never know what it could do because you never know what somebody's going through. Monday Night Football coming.
Welcome back to Amber and Ian here on ESPN Radio, the ESPN app, Sirius XM, Channel 80. Hit the Amber and Ian Nation, Dr. Pepper call line 888-SAY-ESPN. Mark Zeno here in for Amber Wilson alongside Ian Fitzsimmons. Again, Monday Night Football coming up here in just a moment as we have two games tonight, Titans and Dolphins, and then Seahawks and Lions.